I'm Justin and I run Chauk'S Exotics. Chauk'S has been a company that I started like 5 years ago, and it really just allows me to breed and sell reptiles that I have wanted to work with for a while. So this is an introduction video. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Justin LaRue, and pretty much just talk about where Chauk'S is right now. Uroplatus fimbriatus is the main focus. I wanted to show you the FIMs that I've been working on because that's kind of got me the most traction on social media. Chauk' is my dog. So when I decided to start a company, I racked my brain for a while thinking of names that weren't directly associated with reptiles. And I love my dog to bits. He's a little miniature pincer. He's not currently home right now, otherwise he'd be in the video. I'll show him next time. But Chauk'a was a way to keep the memory of Chauk'a forever, because Chauk'S isn't going anywhere. So Chauk'S Exotics is where Chauk'S gets its name from. When I was 14, I wanted a gecko. I saw a couple of red-eye tree frogs on like a tank, like a picture of red-eye tree frogs, and it got me into reptiles. So from there, instead of getting frogs, I did some research and found out they're hard to take care of. I wanted a crested gecko. So I literally bugged my parents for like, I would say a year before they gave in and let me get a gecko. So my first gecko was a crested gecko named Garbanza. She's a little female. I bought her at local PetSmart, and she started what all of this is today. So for the last 5 years, I would say, I put a lot of effort into breeding Uroplatus fimbriatus, which is the giant leaf-tailed gecko from Madagascar. I jumped around for a long time trying to breed a bunch of different stuff, and honestly it just got complicated and I made a lot of mistakes and didn't make much progression. So I decided to pick one thing and stick to it, and the cages behind me all house my pairs of giant leaf-tails that I've bred. So these two cages specifically are my trio of wild-caught that I've had them for about 5 years now. Shit, I've probably pumped out like 50 babies, or not me personally, but they've bred, and I've hatched about 50 babies from those two alone. The rest are F1 generation, so that means they're the first captive bred generation, and this year is the breeding year that I hope to see some babies from them. From what you can see right here, this is only a fraction of the room. With Chauk'S, it started in my bedroom with one cage, one gecko. From there it grew to one cage, two geckos. Those geckos bred, and then it just grew from there. I got a couple White's tree frogs, and then I was introduced to lychees. After my bedroom, I moved out and I started collecting a little bit harder. And since then it has grown into this room that's bigger than my original bedroom and contains more geckos and lizards and chameleons and snakes and frogs than I had ever really expected. Behind me, this is my cool wall. Cool as in temperature. Also cool as in the shit that's here, because it's pretty cool. Most of it is Uroplatus. So these are the big guys. They're giant leaf-tails. There's a couple cages over there that house Fantasticus, which are the satanic leaf-tails. But like I said, the focus is on the giant leaf-tails. Also, there's a couple racks that are in here. So like I said, I've been breeding crested geckos for more than 10 years. And I bought myself a tricolor red lily white. And I also have a female red crested gecko, and she's beautiful. So those guys are in here, and they're growing out right now. So hopefully we'll see something in the next couple years. So that's a project, but most of my racks are on projects right now. I have another female that I'll show you in like a later video. With giant leaf-tails, one thing that I've been doing is I've been cooling them. So in order to initiate breeding, typically you want to replicate environmental similarities to where they come from. So in Madagascar, the cool season is pretty dry. I mean, where they come from, it's on the East Coast, so it's always humid, but it's not like the rainy season. The rainy season sees some of the highest amounts of rain in the world. So right now, I'm trying to replicate the rainy season. Having said that, I should probably have more water in here, but the cages are pretty saturated as they are. Recently, as recent as 2 nights ago, these two were, so that was cool to see. I have one male that I move back and forth between my two wild-caught females, so he's also wild-caught, they breed together. From there, I have another separate wild-caught that I introduced to an offspring of these guys. So F1 baby with wild-caught new blood. You have to keep things separate. I mean, reptiles are a little bit different. They're very different than humans. But interbreeding them isn't as dangerous. However, if you have the opportunity to have wild blood introduced into a breeding project, it's probably of your best interest, and that way you're not cross-contaminating genes or having issues down the line with similar genes interfering with each other. So long story short, I have another male that I purchased recently, and he's in there, and I saw them copulating too, so that's been good. So recently, within the past 2 weeks, they've been doing it. These cages are all custom built by a guy named Justin. He owns Chauk'S Exotics. He's like pretty cool. So I built all these cages myself. After a couple trial and errors with other cages, I just found they weren't holding humidity very well. I couldn't get a size that worked for me in the space that I had. So originally I built one for my lychee, my giant gecko, and it just worked out so well that I decided to do it for the Europlatus as well. So this is where I house the Europlatus. Yeah, they work really well. Humidity stays really high. Cages smell great. It just smells like moist, clean air. All the cages that I do are bioactive. A, because I'm lazy and I don't want to have to clean shit very often. Second of all, humidity is huge. Even having these plants in here, these are like my bananas and stuff, and they're just in here for the winter, but humidity in this room is like off the chart. When you come in here, sometimes it's thick air. But yeah, the humidity keeps really well with the live plants. It looks better. It gives me an excuse to go to a greenhouse and look at plants. I've learned a lot about plants through reptiles, which has been pretty cool. And another thing I do as another hobby, because I don't have enough, is sprout seeds and sell plants through the summer. So that's pretty cool too. I've got like a few different rare types, and we're in Canada, so we can grow some cool plants too. Cannabis. I do want to put some effort into showing what I've done, because I've done a lot of work specifically in this room. And it's a lot of work to upkeep a lot of this stuff, but I kind of really want to share it with people. It's something that excites me, and I think if it excites me this much, there's probably somebody else that it would excite too. What my intentions are for my YouTube channel is to show mainly what I've created. In terms of expectations going forward, I would like to just share a lot of the work that I've been doing in here, because it's pretty much just me who comes in and appreciates it. So I know if I like this stuff this much, I know that somebody else will probably enjoy it. If you have any questions, just ask away. I'm more than happy to answer anything. You can look me up on Instagram and Facebook. I'll link it in the bio. I have a lot of other animals that I'd like to show off. This is only one wall of the room. There's 5 more. It's an odd shaped room, but later on I'll show you some of the other animals. I've got monitors, dwarf monitors specifically. There's tree frogs, the largest species of chameleon in the world. I've got a couple snakes, one of them is scaleless, and that's pretty much it. I appreciate you watching this video. If it's something you want to keep checking out, subscribe, and I'm going to do my best to put out some more videos. So leave a question, contact me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll catch you next time.